They chained him like a criminal, but his words ran free. They marched him across Asia Minor toward Rome, where wild beasts waited in the arena. Along the way he wrote letters that still survive today, urging believers to cling to Christ, resist false teaching, and stand firm in faith. His name was Ignatius, Bishop of Antioch. His death was brutal, but his voice still calls us to courage. Who was Ignatius? Ignatius lived in the late 1st and early 2nd century. Tradition says he was a disciple of the Apostle John, making him part of the second generation of Christian leadership. By the end of the 1st century, he was Bishop of Antioch, one of the most important cities in the Roman Empire. Antioch was the first place believers were called Christians, Acts 11:26, and it became a major center of mission. As bishop, Ignatius guided the church in a time when persecution loomed and false teachings threatened to pull believers away from the truth. He became known for his passionate defense of the gospel and his emphasis on unity in Christ. Arrest and journey to Rome. Around AD 107, during Emperor Trajan's reign, Ignatius was arrested for refusing to worship the Roman gods and the emperor. Condemned to death, he was ordered to be taken from Antioch to Rome for execution in the arena. His journey across Asia Minor became a farewell tour of sorts. At each stop, believers came out to meet him. He wrote letters to the churches in Ephesus, Magnesia, Tralles, Rome, Philadelphia, Smyrna, and to his fellow bishop Polycarp. These letters are among the most treasured writings of the early church, giving us a window into his heart as he prepared for death. The letters of a martyr. In his letters, Ignatius pleaded for unity in the church. He warned against false teachers who denied Christ's humanity or divinity. He urged believers to stay rooted in the gospel, but what stands out most is his attitude toward his coming martyrdom. To the Romans he wrote, "I am God's wheat and I am ground by the teeth of wild beasts, that I may be found pure bread of Christ." He begged them not to intervene in his trial, not to spare his life. For Ignatius, death was not defeat but victory, a chance to be fully united with Christ. Fed to the lions. Eventually Ignatius arrived in Rome. There in the Flavian amphitheater, what we now call the Colosseum, he was brought before the crowd. Wild beasts were released and he was torn apart. To Rome he was just another criminal, another spectacle. But to the church his death was holy ground. His words and witness inspired believers across the empire to stand firm. His blood became seed for the gospel's advance. Law and grace. Law. The Roman law demanded emperor worship as a test of loyalty. Ignatius refused and the law condemned him. Grace. Ignatius saw himself not as a victim but as an offering. Grace turned the arena into an altar, his death into bread for Christ. Law said, die as a criminal. Grace said, die as a witness, live forever with Christ. Legacy of Ignatius. Ignatius's letters remain a priceless gift to the church. They remind us that the faith handed down from the apostles was clear. Jesus Christ is fully God and fully man. His death and resurrection are our salvation. The church's unity and perseverance rest on this truth. Ignatius shows us what it means to live and die with eyes fixed on eternity. He did not seek martyrdom out of pride. He simply refused to deny the Lord he loved. Devotional Reflection. Ignatius's words still challenge us today. He saw himself as God's wheat, a life to be crushed, not wasted. He considered death with Christ better than life without him. Most of us will not face lions, but we will face pressure to compromise, to hide our faith, to value comfort over obedience. Ignatius asks us, will you live with that same eternal perspective? Will you see your life as an offering, even if it costs you everything? Ignatius stood in the arena and saw more than lions. He saw Christ. His story calls us to live boldly and die faithfully. Pray today, Lord, make me like Ignatius, faithful to your gospel, fearless in trials, and willing to be ground like wheat if it means you are glorified. And remember, the same grace that strengthened an old bishop in Rome's Colosseum will strengthen you in whatever trial you face. Live as God's wheat. And one day, you too will be gathered into his eternal harvest.